Okay, what up, friendos? Welcome back. Long time. I've been saying that many times recently. Long time. Just got back off vacation. Got sick. Was great. What a video to come back to. Amazon Game Studios, New World. It's dead. For real this time. No hyperbole, no clickbait. New World as a game. Amazon Game Studios as a studio, as a venture, as an arm of Amazon is dead. That's it. It's completely over. There's a little bit of filling in the blanks here because they've not came out and said we've closed all of our studios and New World is closing down tomorrow. But what they have said from their own words, they are halting development on first-party games, specifically MMORPGs, which is what New World is. You might have seen people talking about a massive wave of layoffs at Amazon. People were saying up to 30,000, now they're saying 14,000. We won't know until some more reporting comes out on this, but as a quote, they are saying Amazon is saying specifically this: while we are proud of our success in first-party AAA game development and publishing, we have made the difficult decision to halt a significant amount of our first-party AAA game development work, specifically around MMOs, within Amazon Game Studios, including making significant role reductions in our studios in Irvine and San Diego, as well as our central publishing team, wrote Steve Boom, Vice President of Audio, Twitch, and Games. Man, what a fucking job this guy's doing. He should be one of the people laid off because Twitch is a mess. Their game studios have always been a mess and didn't even know they did audio, but there we go. So, Amazon Game Studios, if you didn't know, they have multiple studios. Irvine, Orange County, is the one that was doing New World, basically, did the whole of New World and was maintaining New World as it stands now. There are people claiming that the entire studio, Irvine, has been laid off. Now, there is no confirmation on this, but this is from the Amazon employees subreddit, where people who work for Amazon are all posting in this mega thread their role, how long they've been at the company, if they've been laid off. This is not the most credible thing ever because it is just a Reddit comment, but I have checked on LinkedIn and I went through. Amazon Game Studios has been delisted on LinkedIn, or at least it was when I last checked. A bunch of the people I knew who worked, knew their names, worked at Amazon Game Studios and specifically at the Irvine studio working on New World, are now saying that they don't have a job and have removed it from their LinkedIn. It would appear that with that statement saying we're halting a significant amount of development on specifically MMOs, as well as people saying the entire studio is essentially gone, that this is the end for New World. Because let's look at the facts here, right? Because people are going to say, how could they do this? Amazon Game Studios have just released the biggest update ever for New World and it's doing great. It's on a resurgence. It's coming back, bros. We're super back. And to that I'll say, Amazon don't care about New World. They don't care about the slight bump in population of New World because the fact is the game doesn't earn a lot of money. How could it earn a lot of money? It was a single box price game and they've poured... Look at things from a wider perspective here and then we'll go over the numbers. When you think about Amazon Game Studios, they've been operating for like a decade, and I released a video recently where people were saying it was clickbait and it was really that Amazon Game Studios can't be the worst game studio ever created. But that studio has been running for like a decade. They've spent billions of dollars, and the single success of their entire endeavor has been New World. And New World has very little players commensurate to how much money the studio has spent over those years. So when you look at it from like the company as opposed to New World the game, this makes complete sense. And I've said this for years, and being early is the same as being wrong. New World was going to kill Amazon Game Studios, and if they didn't release some other game that like took over and went like crazy numbers, like Fortnite numbers, New World was always going to be the game that sunk the company because they spent so much time and money on this. It was all the eggs in this one basket because every other game they tried to release failed before it even released, basically, or got cancelled in development. They just had New World. And when you look at the numbers of New World here, when people turn around and say, oh, New World's doing super well now, surely they can't shut it down. Zoom out, guys. Like, if you look at 1 month, you're like, oh, that's great. What, 3 months? Oh my God, it's on a huge comeback. Go to 3 years. Like, it's below where it was 3 years ago, and it's not going up from release of this new update. It's going down. Zoom out completely to max, and you see that they've had blips like this 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it's still down to comparatively to them less numbers for a new, the biggest launch ever that makes the game the best it's ever been. So it makes complete sense why this is happening. I'm super surprised it's taken this long. That being said, people are going to say, oh, well, they're just halting development. That doesn't mean it's closing down, right? Business announcements come before game announcements and service announcements. So them saying we're halting a significant amount of development means a couple different things, and there's a couple ways that this could go. One, they just close the doors on New World, like almost immediately. They just come out and say, oh, game's closing. Here's the end of service date. Sorry, guys. It's closed. It's done. The second being they have a skeleton crew that just keeps the game on life support. The third being they outsource the game development to another company and don't class it as like first party anymore and just put some money into continuing to maintain it. Either way you look at this, the game is essentially dead at this stage. Like, I don't think that's clickbait or hyperbole. Them saying they're halting significant updates on specifically MMOs, most of the people at the studio maintaining the game being laid off, that's the end of the game. It either gets closed tomorrow or, the service comes out very soon. That's, I'm exaggerating, obviously. It either gets closed very soon and they announce the closure very soon, or they just leave the game to bleed out until it reaches like a threshold of numbers where they're like, okay, now we flip the switch and the game's done. Unless they change their mind, which, why would they? They've left this game in development and the studio making games for a decade, spent so much money, and they cannot turn this game around. They've just not managed it. They cannot turn the company around. The only success they've had in recent years has been publishing other people's games. And that's where Amazon's going to go. As they say, basically here, they're just moving into what everybody knows all these big companies are moving into. They're not going to develop games. They're going to try and onboard people to their platform being Amazon Prime. They just want to basically bundle in as much value as they can into a monthly subscription service, just like Microsoft's doing with Game Pass, just like they're all doing, trying to chase the dragon of streaming and what's the other thing called that I'm forgetting, cloud being the other one. They're just basically going to try and bundle in as much stuff as they can on their own platform, Luna, bundled in with Prime, and that's it. They'll probably still continue because they say specifically they're going to halt significant development on first-party AAA game development. What does first-party mean? It means it's theirs. So there's a good chance we still see like Amazon Game Studios publishing games like Lost Ark and whatever comes over from Korea or another region that needs a large company to give them infrastructure and payment, etc. But basically, Amazon's releasing no new games at this stage. It's just over. And what does this mean? Many people forget that Amazon Game Studios was developing a Lord of the Rings MMO. And the reason people forget is because, one, they never talk about it, and two, they were developing a Lord of the Rings MMO like 5 years ago and everyone knew about it, but then it was cancelled because the company that was making the game with them, like in a collaboration that had the license, Leyu or whatever, I think it's like the parent company that make Warframe. I might be getting this wrong. It's been so many years before I've looked this up, so correct me in the comments if I am. Leyu was purchased by Tencent, I believe, and then Tencent and Amazon were like spitting feathers at each other, couldn't come to any kind of agreement, so Amazon stepped back and were no longer making the Lord of the Rings MMO. But then they got in bed with Embracer Group to make another Lord of the Rings MMO completely separate, using none of the work they did before, and that Lord of the Rings MMO was being made by the Orange County Development Studio, which is the Irvine Studio, which now has no employees, and they're halting development on first-party MMOs specifically. So it would appear that unless Embracer Group is going to finish development of this, the Lord of the Rings MMO is also dead. So all in all, not only are we seeing Amazon no longer in the game development business, we're seeing 2 MMOs vanish. One we never got to play, despite waiting for 5 years for a Lord of the Rings MMO from Amazon, and New World, which of course a lot of people are praising right now as being really good. I'm probably going to play it shortly to see how it is now compared to launch. But that's it. It's over. There's a lot of people that are going to be high on that copium, saying that this doesn't mean New World's closing. But I'd love to hear an alternate explanation for the fucking head of the entire branch saying we're just not developing them anymore. And the game's somehow still surviving, because the game, as we've seen, has only seen like a little bit of a player bump when they release these big updates. And then it goes down to like actual fucking life support. So what happens in a year's time when there hasn't been an update? It's the game's just fucked, right? And MMOs don't really survive like this. The thing has always been, Amazon is not a good company for you to want to basically have like a live service game for many reasons, but one of them being Amazon is too big to care, right? If you love the game that they make, even if it's like making money, even if it's profitable, if the overall arm of the company is not profitable, tomorrow, Tuesday, fucking Friday, 2 weeks from now, they can just turn around and go, nope, we're not closing the game. We're closing the entire fucking studio. We're closing the entire branch of gaming. We're just cutting off our, this gangrenous arm, this infection. Because why would we continue to throw good money after bad? New World's not going to come back in 6 months' time and revive the studio, is it? It's not going to revive the billions of dollars they've spent trying to get their way into the games industry. It's just basically been one of the largest failures in history of video game development as a studio. Like, obviously other studios have done worse than Amazon have, in terms of like nobody's ever heard of them, or they've released a shit game or whatever. But I struggle to think of any company that's had no success despite this amount of time and this amount of money. It's actually fucking crazy. This is a massive shame, and this is me saying this, somebody who everybody thinks I have like a real hate boner for Amazon Game Studios and New World specifically, because I've made loads of videos talking about New World not being a good game back when it launched, which it wasn't, and was, of course, one of the maybe the main voice before it launched, saying this game needs years more development. It's absolutely not ready. And everyone was telling me I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. The beta was fun. And then the game came out, and obviously we saw what happened with the state of it. And people think I hate the game because I've always talked about it being a massive failure, which, in my opinion, with the amount of investment, the amount of time it's been developed, and the talent that they had at the studio, it absolutely is, just objectively from the numbers. That being said, this saddens me, and it should sadden you if you're a fan of MMOs in general, because the industry is dying. Like, when people, not the industry, sorry, the genre, when people say, oh, games are dying or whatever, oh, World of Warcraft's dying, stuff like that, I always just roll my eyes a little bit, because it's just untrue. WoW's doing better than it's been doing in the last decade. Games in general are fucking amazing. There's problems with the industry. There's basically blind spots where money's not coming in anymore. People are spending less money. But in general, if you're just like a person who likes playing video games, the industry's great. It's definitely not dying. But legitimately, the MMO genre is dying. And it is very easy to say this, because while the numbers are still probably good behind the scenes for games like old school, RuneScape's doing well, WoW's doing well, Final Fantasy 14 is probably doing okay, but not as well as it was years ago. The same games are doing good, but nothing new is releasing. Everything that comes out of Korea is terrible numbers wise within the first 6 months, and then it kind of drops off a cliff or just stays kind of low numbers until it dies eventually. No big AAA company is releasing MMOs anymore. I think Riot is one of the only ones I can think off the top of my head. Everyone else is just done. Like, there's no money coming into the industry, full stop, let alone people wanting to put it into MMOs, which is the riskiest venture you can probably do in gaming in general. We've just seen like Ghostcrawler's MMO is essentially dead. Microsoft has canned a couple of MMOs that were in development. New World is dead. Fucking Amazon Game Studios Lord of the Rings is dead. Like, all the companies that had the money to make like the next big thing, the thing that was going to take over and, you know, wow everybody and revive like the idea that there could be a Titan like WoW, but in modern day, like something that did as good as WoW did back then and just sort of like pushed us forward. They've all gone. They've all pulled out. Like, we have what we have, and there's very little on the horizon that's like gonna have the money and the investment and the time put into it and the resources to that would then show the rest of the industry, oh, you can make MMOs and have like a new boom of money coming in and things like that. With how it is now, I think MMOs basically at this stage are just going to go towards like the traditional live service model of, they might be labeled as MMOs, but they're going to be very much more like small lobby focused and things like that, and have an MMO feeling as opposed to like a massively multiplayer online big role-playing game. But this should sadden you if you're a fan of MMOs. Whenever a game closes down, especially one that had this much hype around it, this much potential, it's just bad. It feels bad, even as somebody who knew this was coming eventually, you know, saying it for years. It was only a matter of time before Amazon just said, yeah, fuck this gaming thing. Let's just continue to focus on services and let other people do the creative things. Let us be what we've always been, what everyone knows Amazon is. They're just gonna gobble up everyone else's work and just spit it out and just take a cut. You know, they're a service provider. They're not the creative, are they? They're not making the things that people want to play and want to watch generally. They're best served as a publisher. They're best served as somebody that can spend money to get licensed to show things to people as part of a service, not making things. They've failed at that completely. Either way, I guess that's all there is to say here. A lot of rambling. I will make an update video as soon as we see anything from, you know, New World game dev and not just like a business thing. Like I said, business always runs in front because it's an investor problem, right? They've got to let people know what's going on. But I expect there will be some kind of clarification from the developers. And if there isn't, that's also not good news. If, you know, there's nobody there that comes out and says, oh, by the way, New World is going to continue going, guys. Yeah, ignore what our boss said. We're definitely going to continue developing the game. Yeah, it's just over, bros. But we'll see you in the next few days. And thanks for watching, as always. I am back now. There will be daily videos, hopefully. And check the links in the video description. See you next time. Stay safe. Peace.